Howdy, folks. Bagger here. Gonna do a little EDH gameplay. This is my Gyruda deck that I talked about when I was playing filming the last video with Croxa when I had an opponent that was playing Gyruda. So this is my list. Play 37 lands, mostly basics, and then just some dual color lands: Watery Grave, Underground Sea, Underground River, Sunken Hollow, a few fetches, the Morphic Pool, the Battle Bond land, some other utility lands. I've got some Mana Rocks in here: Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Felwar Stone, Arcade Signet, Talisman of Dominance. And then just a bunch of clones. The good thing is I can mulligan pretty. Wow, well, that's 100% mulligan, no lands. Pretty aggressively, because can't really do anything with this deck unless my commander's out. So basically just need lands and Mana Rock. Let's check out who my opponents are. Oop. Got a Captain Sisay, Weatherlight Captain, Marina Clandel Toth, and Joria and Ruin Diver. I'm going to mulligan again. I'd really like a Mana Rock of some kind. Alright, there we go. We'll keep that, put 2 cards in the bottom. We'll put Rise of the Dark Realms and a Damnation on the bottom. We'll say hello. And so that gets me to 5 mana on turn 3. Not the best start, but not the worst. But yeah, so it is kind of nice. I don't really need much in the hand to start with, other than at least a couple of lands and a Mana Rock. Like I said, the deck doesn't do a whole lot without the commander. There's some interaction, there's some removal, there's some board wipes. Not a lot of card draw or anything like that, but there's counter magic. But because the way my deck works, I can't guarantee any of it's going to go to my hand as I mill myself along with everybody else. I've had some really great games with this deck. I was once able to get a turn 2 Panharmonica down and a turn 3 Gyruda, and after I milled away about 3/4 of everybody's decks on turn 3. Oh, speak of the devil. Alright, we're definitely playing this island. And we'll see how... Oh, wait. Cancel. This guy's got what? Sacrifice this, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Goodness. Well, we're going to risk... No, we're not. Let's see. Yeah, we're just gonna. I don't have mana to cast my commander next turn. We'll see if anybody else plays down something scary for that caustic caterpillar. Almost made a mistake. But yeah, I got a turn 2 Panharmonicon down with a turn 3 commander, and it was pretty crazy. Hopefully he doesn't decide to blow up my Soul Ring. I'd be really sad then. Who's this guy's commander again? Oh, Sisse. Alright, so. I hate having to use this thing so early, but. I need it for next turn. Untap source, and yeah. So this is kind of a slow hand for me. This thing's slowing me down. I would have 100% played that this turn if this thing wasn't sitting on the battlefield. So this guy's some kind of spell slinger, Jorian Ruin Diver. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. Okay. Some kind of spell slinger, wizard deck. Sometimes it's hard to see how other decks work when playing this deck because I ruin a lot of plans. Base of the land card, put on top of your battle, or put on battlefield top and shuffle your library. So, if I draw another land, that'd be pretty sweet. Because then I can play my commander, and then the next turn I'll be able to play the Panharmonicon and then the Ghostly Flicker. And it'll be glorious. Unless it gets countered, but. I was like, where'd he get that floating mana from? Oh, right here. So five color shrines. I've seen this deck do pretty sweet things. I've thought about building it, but it seems like I don't know. I like to try new different things that other people aren't doing. But I really like the deck. It might be something I try to build in paper versus online. I don't know anybody local in my group that plays it, the Sanctums deck, or the Shrine deck rather. because it does use the old Hondens that are not Synctums, but it does look fun. But most builds I've seen don't really do anything without the shrines. So yes, all right. So we're gonna have fun. We're gonna play this land, and we're gonna cast the commander. And the next turn, we're gonna Panharmonicon and Ghostly Flicker. Ooh, all right. What's this thing do? I guess we're gonna take this. Oh, even better. We'll just we'll take the Caustic Caterpillar. They're probably like, what? So 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I do run a few other artifacts that aren't necessarily the best things. Teferi's Time Twist. How'd that get there? Oh, from my Gyruda. I only saw the 3 cards, so. What do you Chaos Warp? Oh, he Chaos Warped his commander. Cool. Cool. I bet he's but my next turn, I bet he's wishing he had hit my commander instead. Unless, I guess he could have a Force of Will or Force of Negation or something, some other free spell. Fierce Guardian ship. That make me sad. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery, you deals 1 damage to each opponent. Alright. It's definitely a Spellslinger deck, so haven't seen anything too amazing from this guy. He's running Lockets, so there's a chance that he doesn't run any of the free spells because they seem a little higher power compared to a Locket in a 1,000-year storm. Um, oh, other permanents you control have hexproof. But he wish he had that out last turn. Oh man. So we'll see how lucky I get on this turn. I mean, this guy's definitely got some stuff. This guy's played Hulk. In the past, this Mariner Clan Neltoth is one of the grossest decks I've played against. Okay, here comes the truth. Yes. let's see how much fun I get. Let's see what happens. Yeah, well. Oh yeah, draw a card, okay. What do we got over here? Sure, we'll put this one out. What's that one do? Sure. So one guy scooped. I didn't get to mill him out, but 12 and 7. Sacrifice a creature. Sure. So that's the deck. um, yeah. So this guy had 12 cards left in library. This one's 7. And that's the deck. That's the dream right there. It was slowed down to turn because of that caustic caterpillar. Uh, but uh, it's pretty fun deck to play. But not often because that's basically all you do. Um, it usually lasts a little bit longer without the Panharmonicon out, but this card is just gross in this deck. Um, so I got lucky getting it out early, and then being able to just go off. And I mean, there was always a chance something would happen. You know, if even if they hadn't quit, but with only having 19 cards in their library with the two of them, uh, would have been pretty unlikely that they could have won unless they had unless they were like me and had some kind of shuffle effect in their library, which is why I run these two guys, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. So when he's put in your graveyard from anywhere, shuffles their graveyard into their library, and then Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre. Same thing. So I have an even and an odd one, so that this one I can actually hit, which I opted to take one of their other creatures instead. So you don't get the cast triggers, so I wouldn't get to draw the 4 cards, but I still get a 12/12 with Annihilator 4 onto the battlefield. Good blocker, good attacker, especially if you hit that on turn 3 or 4. And then this one, obviously, this one I can't hit at all because it's an odd cost, but worst case, I can cast it or reanimate it. No, I can't reanimate it because it shuffles back in my library. What am I talking about? But another great card is Deadeye Navigator. This one I can hit with Gyruda if I mill it. And this just allows for more and more shenanigans of flickering the commander to get extra triggers. Mirror Gallery. I wasn't 100% sold on this, but just because it costs so much to get out. But if you can get it out pretty early, it's pretty great, especially in conjunction with the Blade of Selves. So, although these ones don't stick around, but basically, equipped creature has Myriad, so whenever it attacks, for each opponent other than the defending player, you may create a token that's a copy of that creature that's tapped and attacking that player. Or a planeswalker they control, and then you exile the token at end of combat. So this basically, so the Mirror Gallery allows the copies to actually stay on the battlefield long enough to attack. And since they're just tokens, you don't care if they die. But it gives you, depending on how many people are left in the game, up to 2 more extra Gyrudas entering the battlefield. So great card. Little expensive. It only costs 2, but it costs 4 to equip. Actually, outside of Gyruda, one of my favorite targets for Blade of Selves is actually on Steve, Secure Tribe Elder. And then you just sack him either before combat damage or before the end of combat when they exile, and then you fetch two lands. And if the guy you attacked with the original one blocks or whatever, or somehow is able to kill Steve, then you just sack him and get the mana, the land, and so pretty good. I've actually done that in paper, and it was pretty cool. And but for the most part, I just added this guy. Oh shoot, I just removed it from the deck on accident. All right, so we got Glasspool Mimic. Wherever this guy goes. Right there. So Glasspool Mimic, I just added from Zendikar. I can't hit it with the Gyruda triggers, but it's the second cheapest clone I can cast. I think all I have below that's Phantasmal Image, which is a 2-drop. So this goes into my, but it's also could be a land if I need a land. I really like these flip cards. This one is great for this deck. As you can see, I mean, I do run quite a bit of lands, but because of the milling effect, there's no way to tell when I'm going to get a land, my next land. I've milled 4 lands over once or twice before. So having an extra land in here is great, especially that doesn't count towards my lands, so that I could also possibly have another clone effect. So like this, last turn, instead of, if I hadn't had the whatever I cast, displace. I think that's what I cast. So if I'd have had that this Glasspool Mimic in my hand and put an Harmonicon, I can cast both those. I had the mana for it. I really like the card. I haven't got to actually play it yet, but I think it's pretty good. Obviously, it would have been one of those cards that I wouldn't mind costing 1 more. Make it a 4-drop. That'd be pretty cool. I'm kind of surprised it's not. Most of these flip lands, I'm honestly kind of surprised it doesn't cost 5 mana. Based on the fact that most of these modal double-face flip cards, the front side is usually overcosted for the effect that it has, and compared to the back, or just compared to a normal card, just because of the value of having the land and the other spell on the other side. But this one actually seems undercosted. The only reason Phantasmal Image only costs 2 mana is because of the bottom part of the text that says, when this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. So you can make an attacker or a blocker with it, but if anybody, you can't equip equipment to it, you can't untap it with some effect, you can't, you can't make it unblockable with Rogue's Passage. You can't do a lot of things with it. So that's why it only costs 2 mana. But most clones themselves, Phyrexian Metamorph, Clone, the Gigantoplasm, Spark Double, Stunt Double, Wall of Stolen Identity, Clever Impersonator, Sakashima the Imposter, Sakashima's Student, Vizier Many Faces, Evil Twin. They all cost 4. And there's a lot more clone effects out there that cost 5, and that's why they're not in this deck, because they just either cost too much to cast based on the effect I'm going to get out of it, and I can't hit them with Gyruda, so but that's the deck. I've had many experiences where, like in the with Kroxa, Rise of the Dark Realms has been fantastic. It's pretty amazing. I mean, what if I'd have drawn that last turn? Then and nobody conceded. I was basically done at that point. I think all I had was a shuffle effect and the pinging from the creature I sacrificed. So, not based on the fact that everybody else only had like 10 on average cards in their libraries. Rise of the Dark Realms would have been fantastic. So, there's that. But that's the deck. Oh yeah, so let's look at what else. Some other non clone effects, or so I run other stuff. So Essence Flux, exile target creature, return to battlefield under its owner's control. Um, Mirror Mockery, enchanted creature. When it attacks, you may create a token that's a copy of the creature, exile it into combat. Um, Teferi's Time Twist we saw in the graveyard earlier. Exile target permanent, return to the battlefield under its own control at the end of at the beginning of the next end step. If it's a creature, comes in with +1/+1 counter on it. And let's see. So these are all my like flicker. We saw the display. So I also have ghostly flicker. So I must have used ghostly flicker because I bounced the artifact as well. But so displays, but same thing, but it's 2 target creatures you control. We have cackling counterpart. So make a token, and then it's got flashback, and it costs 3. We saw the quasi duplicate in the graveyard. It's got jumpstart, but it costs 3. Faded Infatuation, create tokens, copy target creature you control. If it's my turn, I get to scry 2. But that costs 3 blue, 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 so sometimes that one's hard to cast. Illusion Stratagem, 4 mana, exile up to 2 target creatures, return to the battlefield, and then I get to draw a card. Thassa Deep Dwelling, indestructible. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target creature, return to the battlefield, and then I can, she's a 6/5. But then I can pay 3 in a blue to tap another target creature. I don't think I've ever used that before, but usually, unless I get some kind of spark double or something out, or Sakashima, the imposter, so it makes a clone of something, but it keeps its name. It keeps the name Sakashima the imposter, so it doesn't die to the legend rule. But it itself is a legendary, so even if I hit another clone and copy that, then I'll have 2 legends with Sakashima the imposter, so I'll have to sack 1. So still good, but Spark Double is definitely the best one. So it enters as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. And if it was legendary, it's not anymore. So that was pretty good. But yeah, so Thassa just gives me, at end of turn, gives me a flicker effect. So that's pretty sweet. We saw all these. Right of Replication. Especially if I can kick it. It costs a lot of mana, but that's 5 triggers of Gyruda. Venser, get to bounce something. Visor Minute Faces we saw. Evil Twin, I can use this to either copy Gyruda or one of my clones. Or if I need to get rid of something, I can copy, or if I need a blocker and they've got some huge thing that, like Consuming Aberration, that's got power toughness equal to the number of cards in all graveyards rather. Then I can use, I'd be like, okay, well I've got 1 too, and then I can kill theirs at on my next turn if I make it that long. Hostage Taker, we saw that one come out. Can also get can get any creature artifact on the battlefield. Worst case scenario, I take my commander with it, because it doesn't have to be a target creature artifact that you don't control. So I've had that happen where I just run out of stuff in my hand to where I can't bounce the commander, I can't flicker it, and then I got no way to make triggers happen. So I can do this, put it. The risk you run is if you don't have the mana to recast before your next turn, because if you exile it, then it could stay exiled forever. So it would be better to take a clone than your commander, That way, if something, because if I don't have the mana to cast it again before it gets exiled, I have to wait my whole turn cycle, a whole turn cycle before it comes back to me, and I can untap my lands and recast. So much better to lose a clone than it is my commander. But again, can take that consuming aberration, can take any number of things. What if somebody else has a Deadeye Navigator out there? I can take that and then on my next turn cast it. I mean, I might lose it, but oh, I lied. So I guess I misread this card. So it stays exiled until this leaves the battlefield or until I cast it. So I guess it'd be okay taking the commander with it. Um, Not the biggest issue. I don't know. We saw the Panharmonicon, and then we've got Helm of the Host, of course. Great card. Also a little pricey. The first version of this deck I built had a few more pricier stuff in it. I've taken some things out and added some things that were a little bit cheaper. It was just it it worked, but it didn't work as well as it does now. Um, so we've got Conjurer's Clause at the beginning of your end step. You may exile. It's basically another Thassa, except this one's not indestructible. Um, but it flickers something at end of turn. Minion Reflector. I think I took this one out in paper, but I'm not sure. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, create a token of that's a copy of that creature, except it has haste, and sacrifice it at the beginning of the end step. So usually not a big deal because I don't, because of the legend rule. But if I mirror gallery out, doesn't really matter though. I'm paying 2 extra mana for a second clone, in essence. Um, so that's it for that. So mana rocks I have Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Felwar Stone, Talisman of Dominance, which is the Dimir Talisman, the Arcane Signet. And that looks like it for mana rocks. I do have Expedition Map, and that one's kind of for depending on who I'm playing against. If I'm playing somebody that looks like they're either have a lot of counter magic. I can either get the Cavernous Souls to make casting my commander uncounterable, or Beseju, who shelters all. If I have a lot of the instance or sorcery spells that allow me to flicker um, in hand, I might choose that instead. Um, the only bad thing about Beseju Shelters All is no matter what, you have to pay 2 life, but it only adds colorless, unlike Cavernous Souls will add a mana of any color to make something uncounterable as long as it's the same subtype of creature. Beseju only adds colorless mana. So if I'm trying to cast an Essence Flux that's only cost 1 blue mana, I can't use Beseju unless there's some kind of taxing effect like Trinisphere out or something. That'd be the only way I think it would work still. So you got to be careful. Like, wouldn't be able to use it for Faded Infatuation because it's just got blue pips in the CMC. Um, so, but it still helps with Cyclonic Rift. Still helps with the what else we got? Ghostly Flicker or Displace. So it helps with a few spells. Teferi's Time Twist. So um, not the greatest card, but I rarely see it, and it definitely helps. Toxic Deluge. So a little bit of removal. I've got Toxic Deluge. I think might be and Damnation. I think are the only 2 board wipes I have, other than Cyclonic Rift. Could be situational. Could be bounce everybody stuff, or just one thing. I think that's it for. That might even be it for removal. No, we've got Pongify, destroy target creature. It's kind of like a Beast Within. It can't, but it only hits creatures. which is why it only costs 1 mana. But they get a 3/3 green ape out of it, rapid hybridization. They get a 3/3 green frog lizard out of it. We got Kai's Ghost Form, which is kind of a... So, as you notice, with the legend rule, my commander, either my commander or the clones die a lot. So, let's say it's sitting on the battlefield, and then it comes up to my next turn, and I've got, you know, not a flicker, but a clone in hand, or a copy token generator in hand. I can put this on my commander, and then instead of legend ruling and killing off the clone, I can kill my commander, send it to the graveyard, and then it comes back. And then I kill the clone. So I just get an extra, for 1 mana, get an extra clone, hopefully. That's the plan anyway. We saw Gilded Drake. I can either cast it or can hit it with Gyruda. So take a problematic creature, which is what I did this last game, so that I can drop down the Panharmonicon. Counterspell, Abnormal Endurance is basically another way to protect the commander. Somebody kills it. This one only protects against dying, but it brings it back to the battlefield. Heartless Act. This one is spot removal. So destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Heartless Summoning I like. Creature spells you cast 2 less to cast. Creatures you control get -1/-1. So that kind of helps out after if Gyruda dies at least once, maybe twice. You know, it makes the commander tax a little bit less. On subsequent castings, cost 2 less to cast a creature, so that's pretty nice. Order of Midnight. I can return target creature from my graveyard to my hand, or I just have a 2/2 flyer, not blocker because it can't block. Flyer. This is more of if I'm running out of stuff to do, I can return clone from my graveyard to my hand. That's basically what this card's for. But as you saw in the game, I just hit it with Gyruda, so I had a 2/2 non-blocking creature on the battlefield. Not the greatest, but not the worst either. It's one of those cards where at some point you just run out of stuff to put in the deck. There's only so many even CMC things you can put in the deck. But you know, at least it has evasion, it's got flying. Worst case, if you hit it with Gyruda like I did. But the adventure side's still pretty good. So not the worst thing to have. Let's see what else we got. We got Ristic Study for card draw. We talked about all this stuff. Minions Return. I like this one a lot. This is a flash enchant creature aura. When enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So that's good. The other thing to mention is Kai's Ghost Form protects against exile and dying. So you can get that down early. It protects basically against anything. It'll return it back to the battlefield under your control. So if you can get it out there before somebody tries to Path to Exile, Swords of Plowshares, anything like that, then it's pretty decent. So yeah, we talked about the Minions Return. We got all this stuff we talked about. I think other than, you know, I think I just run the 2 spells, Counterspell and Force of Will. Is what it looked like. And then I think that was everything. Yeah, so that's the deck. Let me know what you guys think. It's definitely, as they say, a glass cannon effect. Worst case, even if I don't hit that many, it was mostly the Panharmonicon that made that crazy. Because as you saw, I hit 4 of their creatures, 5 of their creatures, something like that. So with all the milling effects, but worst case, I can just swing out with the 5 or 6, 6, 6, 6 7, 7s, whatever, depending on what clone it was. But they're usually 6, 6s. You can swing out with those. That's a lot of damage. They're big boys, big krakens, demon krakens. So that's the deck. Let me know what you think. And y'all have a good day.